Hi there, my name's Jane Lawrence and I'm one of the counsellors that's based with the Wellbeing team for staff within occupational health and wellbeing, so providing counselling support. And in addition to the one-to-one counselling that we offer as a team, we also get involved with some group activities, and I'm a accredited mindfulness teacher, so one of the things I really like to do is to share mindfulness type practices. So the idea of this session is a sort of introduction, I guess, to some basic mindfulness practices that you could try that are very straightforward, and just give you a taste, really, of some of the mindfulness practices that you can do. So the aim is to not do too much talking here and for me to guide you through some practices. So I think what we will do is start straight away with a little 3-minute breathing space. So 3 minutes is pretty manageable, kind of for most of us during the day at some point or another. And so let's just start there. So what we're going to do, and just to say that I'm doing this in an office, as you can see, so we may hear the phone go off in the background somewhere, we may hear people outside the room, and this is kind of how it is, isn't it, though, in everyday life, where a noise is going on. We're never going to have like a sort of perfect place to practice any kind of meditation or kind of quiet mindfulness stuff. There's always things going on around us. So we'll just work with whatever happens, and hopefully nothing too loud will happen. So what I'm going to suggest you do is, the idea of the 3-minute breathing space is you can do it anywhere. So if you're at your desk right now, you can do it there. If you're standing up, or you'd rather do this standing up, you can do that too. You can just keep your eyes open so you don't fall over. And you could lie down. The idea is it's kind of quick and easy, and it's in 3 stages, and I'll kind of highlight those stages as we go through. So 3 minutes. So I'm going to ring a little bell. You don't need a little bell, but I like my bell, so I'm going to ring a little bell just so that we know where the beginning and the end is, and hopefully that will come across on this recording as well. Okay. So to start with, just sit yourself down and or stand wherever you are, somewhere okay where you're going to be safe. I'm going to ring this little bell, but basically all we're going to do is just start to notice what's going on around you. So I'm going to shut my eyes because I find it easier to focus, but the first stage of this practice, you can do it with your eyes open as well. That's perfectly okay. Just do what feels good for you. So the first stage of this process is just to notice what's happening. So I shut my eyes. Kind of might notice some of the things that are going on around me as well. I get a sense of myself sitting in this room, in this chair. And I'm just tuning in, if you like, to what the weather's like inside me. So what's the weather like inside me at the moment? How am I feeling about myself? What's going on? So I might have an awareness of some sensations in my body. I might feel, I don't know, some tingling, or I might know what the temperature is. I might feel kind of strange, different sensations. I might have some pain, who knows what's there. There might be thoughts floating in around. You might have a busy mind, a busy head today. So we're not trying to change any of this in this check-in, we're just checking in with ourselves, what's going on inside here. So that's the first stage of this 3 minutes. Then in this second stage, we're just going to bring our attention a bit more sharply focused inwards on ourselves. So we're already noticing our body, but what we're going to do is just get a sense of, can we see where the breath is in our body? And sometimes that's really clear. Other times we're not sure where the breath is. So sometimes we can find this if we focus our attention down in our abdomen. And we might just get a sense of our breath moving in our body. So just seeing where that is for you, or sometimes we might find it easier to feel the breath coming and going in and out of our body through our nose, perhaps the tip of our nose, or our lip, if we're maybe breathing through our mouth. So we're not trying to change the breath in any way, it's not that kind of practice, we're just checking in with what's there and focusing in a bit on the breath. And then the third part of this practice is we're going to broaden our attention out again and just get a sense of our whole body sitting in the chair or standing, just here in this moment. So our whole body breathing, maybe a sense of the weight of your body in the chair or through the soles of your feet. Maybe we start to notice a few sounds that are going on around us again in the area there we're sitting. And then bringing our attention back right into this moment, what's going on, and maybe opening our eyes, just seeing how you feel, and just sitting for a moment. And I'm kind of wondering what that experience was like for you, and maybe to ask yourself, what was that feeling like? How did it feel to be in my body for that moment? What thoughts were coming and going? What sensations? How did it feel to be me in this moment? And how did I feel about that? So this process of kind of mindfulness is just about really dropping into ourselves in this 3 minutes. And this is a really good grounding exercise if you're feeling pretty wired or stressed through the day. It's a really quick, straightforward thing to be able to do for yourself, just at any time. So mindfulness is really just about being really aware of what's going on for you in the present moment, so what you're experiencing. So a guy called John Kabat-Zinn, who some of you will know, and I've talked about, those of you who have met before in some of the mindful activities. He's written loads of books. This is quite a nice, easy, accessible one, and I've got a list of all different resources. If you want it, we can share them at some point at the end. And he describes mindfulness is the awareness that arises from paying attention in a particular way, on purpose, in the present moment, non-judgmentally. So this sounds pretty straightforward, doesn't it? And yet sometimes it's really hard for us to do. So we've just had like a mini meditation that gives us a taste of what that's like. So you're intentionally participating in the exercise. You intentionally chose to click on this link today and find out what this was about. So you intentionally brought your focus inside to whatever was going on for you right now. And you probably noticed, I did in myself, thoughts coming and going. Even in that brief period, thoughts coming and going, thoughts and sensations I was more drawn to, I liked a bit more than others. We noticed the kind of comings and goings of our inner kind of weather, our inner landscape. This is kind of the crux of some of the mindfulness practice, some of why it's an important focus for us. So why does that matter? Why should we be bothered to be in the present moment? Well, we kind of live a lot of our lives on autopilot. We're carried away into the future by our thoughts, aren't we? Or reflecting on the past and what's just happened or what someone said to us yesterday, and whilst on the one hand it doesn't seem to be much wrong with that, it's a kind of natural human thing to do. Our ability to sort of reflect on ourselves is quite a useful tool actually sometimes. But when we do that, we tend to get quite habitual in the way that we develop these habits that's very hard to get out of, and Potentially this can kind of make us quite reactive. We're not necessarily aware of what's happening for us in the moment. And so we get a bit out of sync with our environment, and we get involved in behaviours and things that perhaps we wouldn't do normally. So what mindfulness does is it helps us to get like a little space between the stuff that's going on around us, the kind of weather that's kind of moving us to and from, shaping our experience, and kind of what we do next. So it gives us like a little pause where we go, we take a breath. And that little pause gives us more choice about what then happens to us next, what we choose to do. So it might be like the bleep of a phone. It could be, triggers, for very different for different people, that can kind of activate us and get us agitated. It might be at the moment, we've been in lockdown for quite a while and we're contemplating the thought of leaving the house. It might be actually we're desperate to leave the house. We might be scared to leave the house. It might be something as simple as we open the fridge and the teenager's taken the last of the milk, So there can be very little simple things that can kind of trigger us. So what this process of mindfulness does is help us to kind of know what's going on inside us, know what our own emotional weather is, know what thoughts and things are floating around, and then we've got some space to make a decision about what happens next. We become less reactive, less on autopilot. And over time, what happens is that has definitely got the potential to calm our minds down, to make us less reactive and more connected to ourselves and other people, which I think is a pretty good thing. So I think that's probably enough of me talking again for a minute. So what we're going to do is try another longer meditation practice called a body scan. And this is a great one to start with because we are with our bodies. So all you need to do really is to just be guided through the practice. And what we're going to do is you can take your time to get settled. So I would suggest to do this not standing because it's going to take a bit of time, although it is possible. You could do this lying down. In fact, it's a lovely thing to do lying down. But obviously I'm going to be doing it sitting, and you can sit with me today. So one of the things that this practice is to do is not necessarily to relax. It's more about, again, a form of sort of checking in with ourselves, what's happening to us in different parts of our bodies, not with the intention of trying to change anything, but just seeing what's there and seeing what happens to us when we do that. So if we're going to sit, just to say, it can be really good to sit in a sort of steady position. And one thing to think about that is like the kind of pyramid of a mountain. So if our head's like the top of the mountain and our arms and our shoulders going down to the kind of base of a mountain, it's a lovely sort of stable position. So I would kind of uncross your legs and sit with your feet flat on the floor, and it helps just stay steady. Obviously you can do this lying down, as I've said as well. So we're going to do about 10 minutes I think of this, and as I say, should be a nice thing to try. So ring the bell. So just bringing yourself into the sitting position that you're going to feel comfortable in. And I would just say, just be as comfortable as you can. This practice, this is allowed to be easy, this practice. So be comfortable in your chair. There's no need to sit kind of bolt upright or anything. It's sort of sitting in a position where you feel a bit alert. You don't have to shut your eyes. You can just lower your gaze. That works fine too. So just beginning by getting a sense of yourself in the room again, sitting in the chair, the kind of stability of your support around you. And we're going to start this practice by bringing our attention to the very top of our heads. So just bringing your attention to the very top of your head. What can you feel? So perhaps there might be some sensation there. You might get a sense of your scalp. Perhaps if you move down your awareness down your head a little bit, you might get a sense of your forehead, the skin of your face. So we're just letting our attention wander into these different areas of our body to see what we find when we get there. So just noticing what's happening around our eyes and the eye sockets, down across your cheekbones, maybe up and around your ears, down across your lips, into your jaw. So we're just getting a sense again of tuning into what's happening for you in your body. So now just moving your attention, your awareness into your neck. So we're just guiding our attention gently into these different areas of our neck and our body, into our shoulders. So we're just seeing what's there. We're not trying to change anything. We're not trying to get anywhere or achieve any special kind of state here. We're just noticing. We're just noticing what's there. So we're moving our attention down into the tops of our arms and our lower arms, into our hands, and just getting a sense of the kind of weight of our arms as we're sitting here. Perhaps your arms just resting in your lap, your hands, down into each of your fingers, your little finger and your middle fingers, and your index finger, thumb, maybe the space of your hands, the shape of your hands, perhaps the temperature of them. Bringing your awareness back again up your arms, to your shoulders again, and into your upper back. So again, just being aware of what's happening in your upper back. What sensations can you feel? In your middle back, down your spine. And if your mind is pulled away to thoughts, that's absolutely okay. That's part of what this practice is about. So when we notice a thought, what we're going to do is just bring our focus back again to the object of our attention, which is in this case the back. So we just really kindly and gently with ourselves, we just notice it, thought, and we just bring ourselves back. So being aware now then of your lower back and round into your abdomen and the front of your body. Perhaps you might feel the breath moving your body. So this just happens all the time. And we don't need to do anything to change that. We're just noticing how it is for you. Perhaps your abdomen or your chest. And if you're noticing tightness or tension, or sometimes when we bring our attention to a particular part of our body, we can stiffen up or tighten up around it. You can just move that around, just zoom out a little bit. Because we're not trying to change anything here. We're not trying to make anything different than what it is. We're just trying to notice what's there and get friendly with it. So now bringing your attention then down into your hips and the pelvic area. Maybe you can really feel the weight of gravity as you're sitting in your chair. The pressure of the chair, maybe against the big thigh muscles, the tops of your legs. Just noticing the temperature, the sensation. And then down into your knees, maybe behind your knees. Perhaps you feel the pressure of your clothing, or the softness of material. And now down into your shins and your calf muscle. And just noticing what's there, and if your mind again is floating away, that's okay. This happens, we're distracted, carried away by a thought, so we just really gently bring it back again. Back down to our calf muscles. Just escorting it back. Just being curious about what we find. And now into our ankle bones, and the skin around our ankle bones, down into our feet. And just getting a sense of perhaps the temperature of your feet, perhaps your soles of your feet on the ground. Any sensation that you can pick up. Perhaps noticing your toes, maybe even the spaces between your toes. And now starting to bring your attention back up your body to the whole of your body. So we have a sense of your whole body all in one go, all sitting here. A whole body breathing. Yeah, so for the last few seconds or so, we bring our attention out wider still, perhaps into noticing the sounds that are around us again, the sounds in the room. Perhaps there are sounds outside the room as well. And then I'm going to just ring the bell, and as you want to, just begin to bring yourself back into the room and open your eyes. And you might want to have a little stretch, you know, sometimes we get a bit tight sitting still, that's good to do. And so, in a meditation setting, in a class type setting, we'd be having a discussion about how that was for you, what it felt like to be inside your body, what you noticed. Um, um, Perhaps you had an experience of feeling a bit calmer in yourself. Perhaps actually it was the opposite, and you shut your eyes and you're suddenly aware of perhaps a pain here or a stiffness, or suddenly aware that your breath was a bit short, or maybe lots and lots of thoughts coming and going in and out of your mind. And it was just hard to concentrate, or you were bored. So any of these things can happen, can't they, when we shut our eyes and look inside ourselves. And if you noticed any of those things, then brilliant, because that's what mindfulness is about. It's about bringing your attention into this moment, and just being aware of what's there. And every time we do that, we kind of bring ourselves back again and again into this moment. It has the potential to calm our minds down over time. It's like a skill, any skill that you learn, it takes time to build that up. But even in short little periods, it's really surprising what you can manage to do. So if you notice your mind wandering off, that's fine. And the key with it is the tone with which you use with yourself. So a kind of kindness to bring your mind back again. So when you've got thoughts and things feeling like they're coming into your mind the whole time, that's absolutely fine. They're there. Let's not try and kind of make them go away, force them to go away, but just noticing them, going, yes, right, okay, thoughts again, thoughts about work, thoughts about what I didn't do yesterday, or I've got to do tomorrow, or kids, or whatever it is. So we just acknowledge them, yeah, thought about that. And we let it go, and then we just bring ourselves back again. So we just do this over and over and over again. And this is the way that mindfulness meditation practices work. So we are running short on time. I think I have half an hour here. So I just want to mention that, so the two practices that we've done, one very short and then this slightly longer one, they're both really great sort of grounding practices usually. They can help us feel a bit more grounded in ourselves. And they're quite straightforward to do because our body's always here, so we can use it as an anchor to be right in this moment. But other really, really good things to do are other day-to-day stuff that's going on in your life, and I would really, really encourage you to explore this. So, for example, I have a real tendency to rush from one thing to another. It's like my mind is going more quickly than my body, and I'm just kind of scurrying along to catch up some days. And so one of the intentional practices that I try to do is I try to just walk slowly. And when I walk slowly, my mind slows down a bit, and I feel a little bit calmer. So I'll try and walk between buildings, or I'll walk to see my next client, or, round the block at lunchtime, whatever it is. So these things, they just help us to be really present in this moment. And lots of these little things, they are really, really helpful, and they can be done by anybody, anywhere. And I really say, if you don't want to do any of the meditation type practices, the sitting still practices, do some physical stuff instead. So, you can brush your teeth mindfully, 2 or 3 minutes of brushing your teeth mindfully. You could have a shower mindfully. You can, all sports are really helpful, aren't they? It's very hard to catch a ball, or yoga, kind of stand on one leg without being really, really in the moment. You miss it, or you fall over, don't you? So these sorts of practices, that they seem really simple, but they're really, really helpful, really grounding exercises that really help just bring your mind back into this moment again. So if physical stuff is more your thing, then do it that way. It's a really good way to do it. You can sit at your desk and you can synchronize your breath with a movement, which is a lovely thing to do. So this is called kind of prayer hands, and so hard to talk and breathe at the same time and explain it, but so I might take a breath, or you could make the movement bigger. And this just helps us to kind of really ground yourself physically in this moment, and it has the kind of feeling, the property of just sort of bringing you close back down into yourself again. So I really encourage you to do that. If I was going to give you one thing that's a mindfulness meditation type technique to try during this week that NHFT are having, I would prescribe go outside or inside and look up, just look into the sky, and just do that for like 30 seconds a day. And it just helps. Well, I'm not going to tell you, and you maybe you email me and tell me how that was for you, just to stand outside once a day at least and just look up at the sky, get a bigger picture, get a bigger sense of what's happening for you, and in a way that can help just ground as well. So I am now fast running out of time, so what I want to just say is that, so what we've done is we've done 2 or 3 different types of practices. I would strongly say have a go at some of them. If you've enjoyed any of these practices, or you've got questions about them, or questions about mindfulness generally, you can email me, and I'm on jane.lawrence@nhft.nhs.uk, and I will happily pick up any emails. I also have a mailing list for mindfulness activities that I run along with the rest of the team here. And so if you'd like to go on that list, just email me, and you will get details and bits of information from me, some about actual classes that are happening here, but also about freebies and things that are going on elsewhere that you can access. And at the moment, on Staff Room as well, we've got some information about free mindfulness resources that are going on. And also through to the end of December, there's apps that you can access for free, which really help mindfulness practice. So Headspace being a really well-known one, Sleepio, and there's various others on there too. I'm going to be trying out, because up until now we've done a monthly mindfulness session and run an 8-week mindfulness course for staff at different locations. So I'm going to be experimenting with doing that online. I'm not sure how that's going to go, but I'm going to give it a go. So if you'd like to join me on that, email me. We're sorting out dates at the moment. It's like to be sort of around August when we'll do the first one. And if that goes well, we'll try and do a few more of them. So they'll be really quick, 30-minute, 45-minute maximum slots, guided meditation, bit of teaching from me on a particular area. So again, if you're interested in something specific, like dealing with thoughts, or managing strong emotion in your meditation, or just exploring different sorts of practices, that'd be a good thing to do. Okay, so I think that's me out of time. I just want to finish with a quote from Sage Billy Connolly, who I think is fabulous and has a long-standing meditation practice. And what he was interviewed, and what he said was, he said, mindfulness of breathing, he says, I do it every morning. It just gets me squared up. It's dead easy, he says. You just breathe and you make yourself aware of breathing. He says, I call it just sitting. He says, loosen your trousers, untie your shoes, and just sit with your eyes closed for 10 minutes or so. Open the window a wee bit so you can hear a few noises. And the interviewer says to him, does it help with your Parkinson's? And he says, it does. It does. But mostly, he said, it helps you not to be afraid of yourself. It quiets the voices in your head, and I have plenty of them. Good ones and bad ones, just like everybody else. So it's lovely to be with you today, and I really, really hope to see you on some of the mindfulness activities around the Trust. All the very best.